Delegates, distinguished delegates, now you have taken your seats. We resume the diplomatic conference for the adoption of the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine. Mr. Secretary General of the Council of Europe, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to chair this diplomatic conference for the adoption of the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine, hosted by the Council of Europe and the Government of the Netherlands. The Convention represents the culmination of determined multilateral effort, extensive legal work, and the unwavering commitment of the international community to uphold the principles of international law. I wish to commend the Council of Europe for its pioneering work to ensure accountability for Ukraine and its people. We have a full program today. I would therefore kindly request that all speakers adhere strictly to their allotted speaking time and maintain a measured pace to ensure accurate interpretation. To open our high-level segment, I have the great pleasure of giving the floor to the Secretary General of the Council of Europe, Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲.
President Zelensky, Prime Minister Zoff, President Sandu, ministers, delegates, it's for me a great pleasure and a great honor to open this conference with you this morning. And it is a great pleasure also to do this and great honor to do this with the Netherlands. And thank you very much for the strong support. On a February morning, almost 4 years ago, Russia chose war, a war of aggression. Ukraine did not choose this war, but every day since, Ukraine chooses to defend itself and its rights to a European future. And our responsibility is to defend that right with weapons where needed, with justice and values where it counts. The Council of Europe Convention that opens for signature today is justice. It is justice for the children taken and deported, for lives marked by injury and trauma, and for those who will never return. Mr. President, in Strasbourg, at the headquarters of the Council of Europe last June, you said, "Justice takes time, but it must happen." The Council of Europe wasted no time. We created the Register of Damage for Ukraine in 2023. 44 states and the European Union have joined. Over 85,000 claims have been submitted and counting. From recording losses to deciding claims, we have chosen the fastest and the most realistic path, a path leading to a claims commission developed within the Council of Europe framework. And this is a unique international independent tool which should be central when addressing the issue of reparations during peace talks. Today here in The Hague, 35 countries will sign the convention establishing the Claims Commission. This is unprecedented for a convention on its first day. And I hope that others will follow. This convention is open to every state, all around the world, all on equal footing. And together they all send a clear message. Every loss must be recorded, every loss repaired. Accountability is the work, as we know, of the European Court of Human Rights, an institution of the Council of Europe. In July, last July, the court held Russia accountable for widespread abuses in Ukraine since 2014, a judgment that will shape international justice for years to come. We also see accountability in the ongoing work to establish the special tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine. Accountability cannot be a footnote to peace talks. Accountability is a central aspect of any peace plan, but not the only one. Elections, children, minority languages, a functional post-war judicial system, a robust anti-corruption framework in support of investment and reconstruction. These are all areas covered by the Council of Europe's Action Plan for Ukraine. These are areas where Ukraine can give solid guarantees to its partners, including on its path to EU accession. The Council of Europe has no drones, no missiles, but it has the force of the law, international law that applies to all. No exceptions, no double standards. And our task is clear: to record the truth, to provide redress, and to hold those responsible to account. Justice takes time, but it must happen, and the International Claims Commission for Ukraine leads the way. On behalf of the Council of Europe, and in the name of all the people working on this convention, I thank you all for the strong presence today, underlining the very importance of this moment. Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. Secretary General. It is now my honor to invite the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, His Excellency Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, to take the floor.
President Zelensky, Volodymyr, Secretary General Burset, President Sandu, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Netherlands, welcome to The Hague. Over the past few days, Ukraine has been at the center of international talks. Yesterday, we had a constructive meeting in Berlin. There, with Europe and the US working in partnership, important steps were taken on the road to a lasting peace. We discussed a range of issues, including security guarantees. Everyone feels the urgency, and a ceasefire now finally seems like a realistic possibility. That's good news, because the people of Ukraine continue fighting day and night for the independence after almost 4 years of war. A just and lasting peace requires that Russia compensates Ukraine for the damage it has inflicted. And so, today we are here to talk about reparations. Your attendance, Volodymyr, underscores the great importance of this moment and of this conference. We are honored that you're here with us today. Today is all about justice, because without it, there can be no just and lasting peace. But justice doesn't just follow automatically. We need to lay the groundwork and prepare as carefully as possible. Today, we are taking the next step. We have launched the International Claims Commission for Ukraine, which will deal with compensation for damage inflicted during the war. Every day in Ukraine, Russia is deliberately bombarding homes, destroying businesses, and damaging infrastructure. And there must be no impunity. Volodymyr, at an earlier stage, you invited the Netherlands to take the lead on restoring justice. We accepted that invitation enthusiastically, as you might expect from a country where promoting the international legal order is enshrined in the Constitution. A country that is home to The Hague, known as the International City of Peace and Justice, and, since the founding of the Peace Palace, host to a great many international courts and tribunals. Today, we are proud to build on that legacy. On the first day of this diplomatic conference, a resolution was adopted requesting the Netherlands to host the Claims Commission in the framework of the Council of Europe. It goes without saying that we will gladly agree to do so. The Dutch government sees this as a logical next step in a long-running process. For some time now, we have been working with Ukraine, the Council of Europe and the countries represented here today to achieve justice for Ukraine. And together we are making progress. Take the Special Tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine and the Register of Damage, for example. And now, the International Claims Commission, which is being launched today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are sending a very clear message from here in The Hague, that after peace is achieved, justice must be allowed to take its course. And that even once the war has ended, Ukraine can continue to count on the Netherlands and all the other partners that are with us today. Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. It is now my honor to invite the President of Ukraine, His Excellency Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky, to take the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, dear Prime Minister. Dear Dick, thank you so much. And dear President Sandu, Maya, dear Secretary General 𝗟𝗃𝘃, thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for everything, for your support. Dear friends, ministers, and first of all, I want to tell you thank you to your nations, to your leaders, to your people. This is very important that all this year of this war, your nations are with us. Thank you so much for your people, for all this support for us, for Ukraine, for people and our children, and for our right to defend ourselves in every sense of the word. Not only the right to physical protection as an independent nation against external aggression, but also the right to live a normal life safely, like everyone in Europe or any other part of the world deserves. Today and this year, things are being created for Ukraine that should have started a long time ago, at least back in 2014. But really, in fact, considering how many wars Russia has started or supported, this should have happened even earlier. Europe has a very, very long history of wars, and it cannot afford to treat this lightly. All pressure on Russia must remain in place as long as occupation of our land continues. Russia must feel that it is a criminal and face consequences for that as long as our people remain in Russian captivity and until the Ukrainian children abducted by Russia are brought home. Sanctions must limit Russia until it shows respect for peaceful life and the rights of its neighbors. And of course, every Russian war crime must have consequences for those who committed them. We hope the Tribunal for Russian aggression will truly begin its work. not just for us, but for everyone who wants peace in Europe. We expect that every mechanism for compensation from the Register of Damage and Claims Commission to the actual payments will start working and receive strong and sufficient international support so that people can truly feel that any kind of damage caused by the war can be compensated. This war and Russia's responsibility for it must become a clear example so that others learn not to choose aggression. Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
I thank you, Mr. President. It is now my honor to invite the President of the Republic of Moldova, representing the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe, Her Excellency Ms. Maia Sandu, to take the floor.
Prime Minister Dick Schoof, President Volodymyr Zelensky, Secretary General Alain Berset, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for bringing us together. We meet as Russia's full-scale aggression against Ukraine continues to take lives, destroy cities, and weaken the foundations of the European security. So, amid all high-level discussions, we must keep the ultimate objective in mind: to save lives, stop the suffering, and bring peace that does not give rise to the next war. Moldova supports all efforts that bring an end to the war and the suffering it causes, all efforts that lead to a dignified peace, and all efforts that prevent a future war. Because how this war ends will shape Europe's future. In this sense, history is consistent. Peace without accountability rarely holds. Where responsibility is affirmed through law and institutions, societies recover. Where accountability is avoided or postponed, violence returns, often in more destabilizing forms. Accountability is about creating the conditions for peace that endures. And therefore, accountability is a condition of security today and for the future. But accountability is not only about Ukraine, and it is not only about one aggressor and one victim. Accountability is about Europe, about every country in Europe. It is about whether Europe as a whole is willing to defend its peace. This war is already affecting our normal ways of life far beyond the front line. Drones violate European airspace, disrupting travel plans. Critical infrastructure is targeted through sabotage. Cyber attacks disrupt services. Disinformation seeks to divide our societies from within. This is how modern hybrid war spreads, quietly, gradually, and deliberately. The front line is not only in Ukraine, it is wherever Europeans expect safety, stability, and normality and begin to lose them. This moment is about Ukraine, but it is also about whether free and sovereign nations in Europe can protect their people from evil and harm, whether we, Europeans, can hold together in solidarity to defend our way of life, our democracies, and our peace. This is why the convention we signed today, establishing the International Claims Commission for Ukraine, matters. This matters first and foremost for people, for those who lost family members, for those whose homes were destroyed, whose lives were forever changed. Law cannot undo loss, but it can recognize harm, restore dignity, and affirm that suffering is neither invisible nor forgotten. Secondly, it also matters for the international system. Accountability, when it is credible, predictable, and institutionalized, tells aggressors that violations will be recorded, assessed, and addressed. Third, the way this Commission has been created sends a signal. It affirms multilateralism and a rule-based international order. At a time when some argue that power alone should decide outcomes, Europe is stating something different, that stability depends on law, cooperation, and shared responsibility, especially for smaller and more vulnerable states. The Council of Europe has provided a credible institutional framework for this effort. I also wish to acknowledge the role of the Netherlands. The Hague has long stood as a center of international law, and its engagement has been essential in moving this effort forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we should also be clear-eyed about the reality on the ground. Ukraine is resisting. It continues to defend its territory, its people, and Europe's security. Russia has not achieved its objectives. Every meter of advance in Ukraine comes with colossal human and military costs for Russia. This war will soon last longer than Russia's participation in the Second World War. The fact that Moscow has still failed to take the Donbas is evidence of Ukraine's extraordinary capacity to resist and adapt. President Zelensky, Ukraine's resilience matters far beyond its borders. It preserves Europe's peace. Europe's security now depends on whether Ukraine is supported and whether Russia is denied the capacity to continue this war and prepare for the next one. Ukraine must continue to receive strong, sustained support, not sporadically, not cautiously, but with the understanding that Ukraine's success is a precondition for Europe's future peace. Supporting Ukraine now is an investment in preventing much larger conflicts later. At the same time, Russia's ability to wage war must be reduced. Sanctions matter. Isolation matters. Pressure matters. A war of aggression cannot be allowed to remain economically sustainable. Deterrence that works today avoids far greater military, economic, and human costs in the future. The EU's decision to indefinitely freeze Russian assets plays a role in this effort. It reinforces deterrence. It tells future aggressors that war leads to lasting costs. How this war ends will determine whether Europe faces stability or more wars. And this is Europe's responsibility, not someone else's, not another continent's. The responsibility lies with Europe to stand for peace, to support Ukraine, and to defend the foundations of our security, democracy, and well-being. To do so decisively or to fail history, and in doing so, endanger Europe's democratic and peaceful future. Ukraine is fighting. The question before us is whether Europe will rise to the moment or fail. I thank all the countries represented today for their support to Ukraine. And as a country holding the presidency of the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe, Moldova stands for a Europe that acts early, decisively, and together. A Europe that understands that supporting Ukraine and deterring aggression today is the price of peace tomorrow. Thank you.
I thank you, Madam President. We now turn to the central item of our conference, the adoption of the documents before us, the convention, the resolution, the report, and the final act. At the heart of these instruments lies the convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine, which represents the principal achievement of our collective work. May I ask whether any delegation wishes to take the floor to raise an issue or propose an amendment to any of the draft documents? If there are no objections, I take it that the diplomatic conference is ready to proceed with their adoption. The convention, the resolution, the report, and the final act are hereby adopted. And that's what I like to do best at these meetings, gavel a result. Following the adoption of the convention, I have the honor to formally declare the convention open for signature. So we will now proceed to statements and the signing of the convention and the final act of the conference. We will begin the signing ceremony with the signing of the convention by the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Ukraine, and the Republic of Moldova. May I invite the Secretary General of the Council of Europe and the 3 delegations to the signing table. Thank you, Your Excellencies. We will now proceed with statements delivered by ministers of the states and high-level representatives of the organization having expressed their intention to sign the convention and the final act. We will then continue with statements from the other members and observers having expressed their intention to sign the convention and the final act. In English, alphabetical order, albeit with 1 or 2 exceptions. I now have the honor to invite Ms. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and European Affairs of Slovenia, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Georgia.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, it is an honor to address you today as we reflect on the profoundly difficult reality that we are soon to mark 4 years since the Russian Federation launched its illegal and unjustified aggression against Ukraine. 4 years of blatant violations of international law, which Slovenia condemns in the strongest possible terms. Slovenia has always advocated for peace. This commitment continues to guide our country's actions today, just as it has in the past. We support all efforts towards achieving a just and lasting peace in Ukraine, a peace that will be firmly rooted in the principles of the UN Charter, including sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity. These principles are not abstract ideas. They form the bedrock of international stability. When they are violated, the entire international community bears the consequences. Despite continuous diplomatic and peace-oriented initiatives, Russia continues to launch relentless attacks on civilian and critical infrastructure across Ukraine. Attacks that kill and injure innocent civilians and destroy homes. The Ukrainian people continue to face torture, arbitrary detention, summary execution, and the abduction of children. During my recent visit to several Ukrainian regions, I witnessed the appalling hardships as well as the remarkable resilience of the Ukrainian people. The cruel and violent acts of the aggressor must not go unpunished. Russia is the aggressor and must be held accountable for the most serious international crimes committed on Ukrainian soil, as well as for the immense damage inflicted on the country and its people. In this context, Slovenia views the establishment of the International Claims Commission as an important step towards achieving justice. Accountability is essential to achieving sustainable peace. Only by addressing the harm caused and ensuring that perpetrators face consequences, we can uphold the international legal order and prevent future violations. Slovenia will continue to support Ukraine every step on the way. Our support is anchored in our commitment to international law, human dignity, and the belief that a peaceful and secure Europe can only be built on human rights and accountability. The International Claims Commission represents our collective endeavour to ensure that the future is governed by law rather than by force. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Ms. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Georgia, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Germany.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Secretary General, thank you for bringing us together here in The Hague, a city that has become a symbol of justice and respect for international law. The struggle of the Ukrainian people to defend their country cannot leave us indifferent. The tragic reality that we are witnessing today in the heart of Europe requires greater efforts to restore peace in our region. Blatant violation of international norms must not go unanswered. We have gathered here today to take yet another step on behalf of the international community towards establishing the necessary legal mechanisms. Ukraine must have appropriate instruments to receive compensation for the damage inflicted upon the country and its people as a result of this unjust war. Georgia, as a founding member of the Register of Damage, welcomes the next step towards establishing International Claims Commission. Georgia understands better than most how vital it is to uphold international norms. We know firsthand the human cost of unresolved injustice, the displacement of civilians, the destruction of homes, and the lasting scars left on the societies when accountability is denied. Even today, we continue our struggle to make use of existing legal mechanisms to ensure that the violated rights of our citizens resulting from Russia's occupation of 2 regions of Georgia are not forgotten. Despite numerous decisions by international courts holding Russia responsible vis-à-vis Georgia, it continues to disregard international law and its international obligations. This is precisely why it is necessary to reflect on the effectiveness of existing mechanisms and to take appropriate steps to ensure that justice is enforced. We also clearly understand how crucial adherence to the international rules-based order is for ensuring peace. Georgia is committed to the peaceful resolution of conflicts, and we appreciate the steadfast international support in this regard. Indeed, a consolidated response by the international community can make a significant impact. Lastly, Georgia remains in solidarity with the Ukrainian people. We support Ukraine's sovereignty, territorial integrity, and its right to justice. I would like to thank the Netherlands for hosting this conference and Secretary General for his efforts. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Florian Hahn, Minister of State at the Federal Foreign Office of Germany, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Lithuania.
Secretary General, Prime Minister, President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, millions of displaced people destroyed, livelihoods, countless families torn apart. Today we are talking about Ukraine, about peaceful civilians who had to flee Russia's bombs, about families who have lost everything they own, and about the people of Ukraine who, despite everything, continue to resolutely defend their freedom, their values, and their identity. Germany stands by Ukraine and will be Ukraine's largest supporter this year, with additional assistance for air defense, with an increase in our funding of bilateral military support to Ukraine, and with support for the energy infrastructure targeted by Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, today is also about upholding the Charter of the United Nations and its fundamental principle of international law, the prohibition of use of force. In 2022, the UN General Assembly recognized in its resolution Furtherance of Remedy and Reparation for Aggression against Ukraine that the Russian Federation must be held to account for any violations of international law in or against Ukraine. The people of Ukraine can now be assured their claims will be taken seriously. They will be examined in a professionally established international process. The establishment of the Claims Commission is an important step towards ensuring accountability and securing compensation for Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, most importantly, the people of Ukraine needs peace. Ukraine is ready to negotiate a peace solution, but Russia remains evasive and continues its reckless strikes. Germany will therefore, together with its partners, uphold its efforts to achieving an end to Russia's war, emphasizing that any solution must fully align with the principles of the United Nations Charter. We will continue with our partners to work for a just and lasting peace that the people of Ukraine fully deserve. In closing, I wish to thank the Council of Europe for hosting the Claims Commission under its roof, and I thank the Kingdom of the Netherlands for their support for the negotiations and its openness to host the Claims Commission here in The Hague. Thank you very much for your attention.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Keztutis Budrys, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Lithuania, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Malta.
Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I'm honored that today we are able to sign the convention establishing the International Claims Commission for Ukraine. By doing so, we reiterate our unwavering commitment to solidarity with Ukraine. Together, we are seeking full-fledged accountability for all international crimes committed by Russia in and against Ukraine, as well as for all violations of international law in that context. We stand united with Ukraine in defense of international legal order that protects every nation represented here today. Today's signing of the Convention marks a significant and necessary evolution in our collective legal response to Russia's ongoing aggression. With this step, the international community affirms that legal response will not remain in theory. There will be just and concrete consequences, including financial ones, enforced by the mechanism we are in process of creating. I would like to sincerely thank everyone for their hard work in making it happen. In such a short term, Lithuania is committed to ratifying the Convention as quickly as possible, demonstrating our determination to uphold justice and accountability. We urge all countries that have signed it to complete their internal procedures swiftly, so it may enter into force and the Commission can begin its work. Moreover, we need to work together, getting all eligible states on board to sign and ratify the Convention without delay. And we should keep calling on all eligible states to join the register of damage for Ukraine, whether as members or associated members. The register and the Convention confirms our political commitment, expressed in the UN General Assembly's resolution on furtherance of remedy and reparation for aggression against Ukraine. Dear friends, I wish to emphasize that for Lithuania, the establishment of the Claims Commission carries profound meaning. Our history teaches us how vital accountability and reparations are for international wrongful acts. There were no reparations for the occupation and annexation of Lithuania and the other Baltic states by the Soviet Union under the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Putin and his regime since the outset acted as if those crimes never happened. This denial and impunity has only encouraged Russia's repeated aggression against Georgia in 2008, against Ukraine in 2014, and again in 2022. In conclusion, let me recall the fundamental principles. First, solidarity. Standing with Ukraine sends a clear and unwavering signal. Aggression will never be legitimized by the international community. Second, justice. Accountability for international crimes cannot be evaded. And finally, respect for the international law. The success of ensuring tangible legal consequences for international crimes committed by Russia will reinforce the global rules-based international order. Thank you all.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲 to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Montenegro.
Excellencies, colleagues, today we stand together bound by a sense of duty and a common cause, marking a historic occasion of undeniable significance, that of the official adoption of the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine. This convention brings us to yet another crucial milestone in furtherance of the 2022 UN General Assembly resolution on the furtherance of remedy and reparation for aggression against Ukraine, which recognized the need to establish an international compensation mechanism, as also outlined in the 2023 Reykjavik Declaration for the damages caused by Russia's illegal and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. The Council of Europe has stepped up as a global leader by centering victims through the Claims Commission. In succeeding the Register of Damages, the Claims Commission will ensure that the Russian Federation, as the responsible state, makes full reparations for the harm caused through its internationally wrongful acts, as also reiterated in the final act of this diplomatic conference. Malta has wholeheartedly supported this stepwise approach from the outset as a full member of the Register and looks forward to the attainment of these goals through a dedicated compensation fund. I am proud to note the active role my country has had to play in the process and recall that on the 22nd October of this year, the Maltese presidency of the Council of Europe oversaw the approval by the Committee of Ministers of the draft convention, which we now witness coming to fruition. We welcome the adoption of the final act and the resolution. Malta stands ready to continue cooperating closely with regards to the functionality of this mechanism and will follow closely the work of the Advance Team and Preparatory Committee, particularly as it pertains to the provisional budget for the first financial year of the Commission and the scale of contributions as members. Malta is also proud to have presided over the historic milestone achieved last June, whereby the Committee of Ministers paved the way for the signing of the bilateral agreement on the establishment of the Special Tribunal for Crime of Aggression against Ukraine by President Zelensky and Secretary General 𝗟𝗃. This agreement crucially fills in a vacuum of accountability in international criminal justice for this most serious crime against Ukraine, where international judicial bodies previously lacked the necessary jurisdiction to adjudicate on Russia's crime of aggression. Once again, we join in solidarity within yet another international forum for like-minded states to reaffirm our commitment to national sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as to peace and stability in Europe. As Malta signs this convention, Malta chooses to stand on the right side of history, and that we will hold firm in our belief in the rules-based international order. We invite all other nation states to add their signatures without delay, as the urgent defense of justice, cooperation, and international law demands collective and timely action. It is critical that the widest possible global membership is achieved to secure the legitimacy, credibility, functionality, and effectiveness of not only the Claims Commission, but also the Special Tribunal. In doing so, the global community will be sending the unequivocal message that Russia is not exempt from its obligations under international law, and that it must be held answerable for all its actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. 𝗟𝗃𝗲, Minister for European Funds and Implementation of the Electoral Program of Malta. I now have the honor to invite Mr. Bojan Bosovic, Minister of Justice of Montenegro, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by the United Kingdom.
Your Excellencies, distinguished colleagues and dear friends, it is my honor to be present on behalf of the government of Montenegro here today in The Hague and to join you all on the occasion of signing the Convention on establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine. We believe this is quite a historic moment that gathered us here in the city of international peace and justice, united in our strong and continuous support for Ukraine in decisive times. Today, we demonstrate our commitment to preserve the fundamentals of the international law, international humanitarian law, and international human rights by sending a message that the aggression to the sovereign state does not pay off and that our obligation is to enforce the principle of accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to use the opportunity to thank all experts and diplomats that participated in the process of drafting convention, to the Kingdom of Netherlands as a host, and as well as to the Council of Europe for all the efforts and expertise invested in the work of the Register for Damages so far. Thank you for attention.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Stephen Doty, Minister of State for Europe, North America and Overseas Territories of the United Kingdom, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Andorra.
Well, distinguished fellow delegates, it is a pleasure to be here today, and we salute President Zelensky's leadership and the courage of the Ukrainian people. And the United Kingdom is proud to be here standing alongside Ukraine today and always committed to justice and lasting peace. This is indeed a landmark moment, an unprecedented step towards accountability for Russia's appalling crimes against Ukraine. And the United Kingdom is proud to sign this treaty, which stands as a beacon of hope for every family and community affected by that aggression. And it also sends a clear message to Putin that aggression and violations of international law will not go unanswered, because Russia's attacks shock the conscience, bombarding homes and kindergartens, stealing children from Ukraine, deporting and brainwashing them. And I, like many of you, have been in beautiful Kiev and Ukraine under bombardment by drones and missiles. I have seen the civilian buildings and infrastructure reduced to rubble, the bunkers where Ukrainian children have to do their lessons underground. And the destruction is hard to comprehend unless you have seen it face to face. The Register of Damage has already received nearly 90,000 submissions, and up to 10 million claims may follow. And behind each of those claims, we must remember that there is a family, a business, a community shattered by Russian aggression. But we also know that Ukrainians are a resilient people. They are looking to a future beyond this conflict, and so are we. But it is also essential to hold Russia to account. This commission will enable Ukrainians to rebuild their homes, their communities and their lives. And we meet, of course, at a critical time with US-led peace talks ongoing, and we welcome efforts to end the killing and the destruction. And yesterday, our Prime Minister in Berlin, with many fellow European leaders, discussed these issues with President Zelensky and President von der Leyen and others. And this is a pivotal moment. We continue to engage at the highest levels while ramping up our support to Ukraine and putting pressure on Putin. But we cannot wait for peace to pursue justice, because without justice there can be no lasting peace. And I am confident that future generations will look back on this treaty as a key moment in the fight for accountability. And the United Kingdom will continue to support the Commission's development, building on our leading role, chairing the Register of Damage, and we will keep working with all of you, our international friends and partners. And my thanks go in particular to the Dutch government for their leadership, the Council of Europe and the Secretary-General for their vital role, and all delegations for their perseverance. And above all, we're grateful to the Ukrainian negotiating team for reminding us that this work cannot wait. So today is an important step. Let's keep up the momentum for justice and a sustainable peace.
The order of speakers has changed. I now have the honor to invite Ms. 𝗟𝗃𝗃, High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission of the European Union, and Mr. Michael McGrath, European Commissioner for Democracy, Justice, the Rule of Law and Consumer Protection of the European Union, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Sweden.
Dear colleagues, thank you to our hosts of the European Council of Europe. After 4 years of war, more than 200,000 buildings in Ukraine have been destroyed or damaged, and some 2.5 million houses and flats are no longer fit to live in. We are talking about the total number of residents of The Hague having to leave their homes. The scale of destruction and impact on citizens is unimaginable. Property is just one category in the register of damages for Russia's war in Ukraine. And if I may say so, the least costly. Because what price do you put on the killing of family members, the deportation of children, life-changing personal injuries, sexual violence, torture? These are the questions that the Claims Commission will be dealing with over the next years. Now that we have formally adopted the convention establishing the Claims Commission, I'm pleased to announce that the European Union will provide up to €1 million to pay for the preparatory work. In the meantime, Ukrainians can keep submitting claims to the Register of Damages. There are many examples of claims commissions in the recent past, from the Iran-US Claims Tribunal to the Eritrea-Ethiopia Claims Commission, or the Commission for Real Property Claims in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The Claims Commission in Ukraine is likely to be the most ambitious yet, but the most difficult also to implement. The biggest challenge is the funding. There are precedents that can inspire us. After Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, the United Nations Compensation Commission was able to use Iraqi oil revenues to pay reparations because a percentage of the oil sales went directly into the UN Compensation Fund. Russia is no less liable for the damage in Ukraine than Iraq was for the damage in Kuwait. But Russia will never voluntarily pay for the damage it has done. We already see the attempts to exclude reparations and, in fact, any form of accountability from the potential peace agreement. And this puts a huge responsibility on the international community, including the participants of this International Claims Commission. Together, we must stand up for the victims of this brutal war of aggression. If we do not, more will follow. But we have to get creative about how to mobilize funding to pay out compensation. Between 260 and 280 billion euro of Russian sovereign assets are frozen outside Russia. It is unthinkable that this money will ever be returned. Not with the damage Russia has caused and continues to cause by refusing to lay down its arms. This is the most obvious basis for the compensation fund, but there will be others too. Together with justice for grave violations of international law, reparations are fundamental for accountability. And if we believe in just, durable peace in Ukraine and security in Europe, we must keep on working on accountability. And let me finish by thanking Ukraine, the Council of Europe, and our hosts here in the Netherlands. Thank you.
Secretary General 𝗟𝗃, Your Excellencies, good afternoon, everyone. Today marks a defining moment in our unwavering support for the people of Ukraine as they continue their heroic resistance against Russia's brutal war of aggression, and a defining moment in our shared commitment to upholding international law, restoring justice, and ensuring lasting accountability for the suffering inflicted on Ukraine and its people. Ukraine has endured unimaginable pressure, and it has not broken. It has stood firm, not only in defence of its people, its sovereignty and its European future, but also in the defence of the international legal order itself. Ukraine's future is Europe's future. Ukraine is not just a partner, it is a neighbour and a dear friend. The EU has remained steadfast in its resolve to fight impunity and pursue accountability for Ukraine. And today, We move from principle to action, from aspiration to reality, embedding accountability at the heart of Ukraine's future. More than 3 years ago, the UN General Assembly affirmed a clear principle. Russia must be held fully accountable for its internationally wrongful acts in and against Ukraine and must provide reparation for the damage, loss and injury caused. And since then, the EU, together with its member states and partners around the world, has worked tirelessly to deliver an international reparations mechanism, and I acknowledge the leadership of the Council of Europe. Establishing the Register of Damage in May 2023 was the first essential pillar, and today we are founding the second pillar, turning our collective solidarity into a concrete mechanism for reparations. And that's why I am honoured to be here today alongside 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗃 to co-sign on behalf of the European Union this convention, as well as the final act. Our next priority will be to conclude the convention early next year so that the Claims Commission can be up and running as soon as possible. And time is of the essence. We need to ensure accountability and justice for Ukraine and its people. So let me encourage not only all of you, but also our other international partners to join the convention, because doing so will reaffirm not only our solidarity with Ukraine, but also a firm commitment to the rules-based international order that protects every state. Crucially, the Convention lays out a clear pathway forwards towards the establishment of a compensation fund to ensure full redress for all damage. By signing today, we are reaffirming our collective commitment to identify and secure, in full respect of international law, sustainable sources of funding for the compensation determined by the Claims Commission. And this is why the European Commission's reparation loan proposal recognises that those resources can be used directly by Ukraine to deliver compensation awarded through the Claims Commission. To conclude, this year has tested our collective resolve like no other since the onset of Russia's full-scale war of aggression. And while the geopolitical landscape has shifted profoundly, Ukraine's determination to resist Russian aggression has not, and neither has the EU's unwavering commitment to Ukraine, to its European future and to the international rules-based order. Accountability for the perpetrators of these crimes and reparation for their victims are indispensable to any just and lasting peace. And today, through the EU's signature of this convention, we reaffirm with all of you that commitment clearly, firmly and without ambiguity. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗃, State Secretary for Foreign Affairs of Sweden, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Andorra.
Excellencies, colleagues, friends of Ukraine, it's a great honor to be here in The Hague to adopt the convention establishing an international claims commission for Ukraine. Today, we gather to reaffirm our commitment to justice, accountability and solidarity with the people of Ukraine. The establishment of the Claims Commission marks a historic step towards ensuring that reparations will be made to the victims of Russia's aggression. It marks a pivotal moment holding Russia accountable for its grave violations of international law. Ukraine is courageously defending its country and people against the Russian aggression. Homes have been destroyed, livelihoods shattered, and countless lives ended or disrupted. Sweden stands firmly with Ukraine in its efforts to achieve a just and lasting peace in line with the international law, including the UN Charter. The Claims Commission sends a powerful message. Aggression will not go unpunished, and justice will not be denied. We welcome the significant work carried out by the Register of Damage for Ukraine. Progress is also being made on establishing the Special Tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine. It's crucial that both the Commission and the Tribunal can begin their important work as soon as possible. Today, we're taking a significant step towards ensuring justice and compensation for Ukraine and its people. Sweden's support to Ukraine remains steadfast. It's a moral obligation and a political imperative rooted firmly in international law. Our efforts for accountability will continue unabated. Slava Ukraini!
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗏 Zamora, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Ambassador of Andorra to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Austria.
Monsieur le Secrétaire général, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, Excellences, permettez-moi de remercier le Royaume de Pays-Bas et le Conseil de l'Europe pour l'organisation de cet événement qui marque une nouvelle étape dans la consolidation des mécanismes et l'élaboration des instruments de reddition de comptes. C'est avec conviction et responsabilité que l'Andorre est présente aujourd'hui pour signer la Convention établissant une commission internationale de réclamation pour l'Ukraine. Cet engagement témoigne de notre attachement aux principes qui fondent l'ordre international, la souveraineté des États, le respect du droit international et la protection des droits humains. L'agression de la Fédération de Russie contre l'Ukraine a causé des destructions massives, des pertes humaines dévastatrices et un traumatisme durable pour des millions de civils, en particulier les plus vulnérables, les enfants. Face à ces violations, la communauté internationale a le devoir de condamner et d'agir. L'Andorre condamne fermement cette agression militaire. Le peuple ukrainien défend non seulement son territoire, mais aussi les principes et les valeurs du Conseil de l'Europe. L'Andorre appelle la Fédération de Russie à cesser l'agression contre l'Ukraine et à respecter ses obligations en vertu du droit international. En signant cette convention, l'Andorre affirme clairement que l'agression implique une responsabilité internationale. Les victimes doivent pouvoir faire valoir leurs droits, obtenir reconnaissance et réparation et retrouver un horizon de stabilité. Notre soutien s'inscrit dans une conviction profonde. Tous les États doivent contribuer significativement à la défense du multilatéralisme guidé par la justice, la solidarité et la dignité humaine. L'Andorre continuera à travailler avec ses partenaires pour que ce mécanisme devienne un instrument essentiel de réparation, mais aussi un message clair pour l'avenir. Les violations graves du droit international ont des conséquences. Je vous remercie.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Josef Schellhorn, State Secretary at the Federal Ministry for European and International Affairs of Austria, to deliver a statement.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on the 24th of February 2022, Russia started an illegal and unprovoked war of aggression against its neighbor, Ukraine. Over the past 3.5 years, we have been able to watch in real what this aggression means. Families torn apart, children kidnapped, young soldiers killed by tens of thousands. In addition of the human suffering, Russia has been trying to bring this country, Ukraine, to its knees economically and socially by destroying residential homes, hospitals, businesses, and critical infrastructure without discrimination. Austria condemns the Russian aggression against Ukraine in the strongest terms. Austria stands with Ukraine. And that means we cannot allow Russia to destroy Ukraine with impunity. This is not only the position of Austria, but the international community as a whole. In November 2022, the UN General Assembly, with an overwhelming majority, adopted a resolution reaffirming international law. It states that Russia must bear the legal consequences of its aggression, including by making reparations of all injury and damage. Excellencies, I'm profoundly happy that we assemble here today to put the mandate of this UN resolution into practice. By adopting the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for the Ukraine, I'm equally proud that Austria will be among the first signatories. To the Ukraine people, I say, we keep our promise. There can be no peace without justice. Austria is strong and steadfast supporter of justice for Ukraine. We are a founding member of the Register of Damage. Over the past year, we actively contributed to negotiating the strong, impartial International Claims Commission for Ukraine. Excellencies, as a possible solution for peace in Ukraine may be coming closer, I wish to underscore such peace must be sustainable and just. Having a strong institution such as the Claims Commission, which can objectively identify the damage done to the Ukraine and its people by the illegal Russian aggression and quantify necessary reparation in each case, is an indispensable instrument to ensure such sustainable and just peace. It also shows our strong commitment to the rule of law and accountability. Let me close by tribute to the steadfastness and bravery of the people of Ukraine. In the face of an unprovoked and illegal aggression, you have shown the world what courage and patriotism truly means. Your resilience is not only a defense of your homeland, but a defense of freedom, dignity, and the values we all hold dear. The International Claim Commission for Ukraine is our small contribution to help bring justice to your nation and rebuild Ukraine for a strong, sovereign, and flourishing future. Thank you very much. Slava Ukraine.
Thank you. I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Austria to the Netherlands, to the signing. Followed by Belgium. So I now have the honor to invite Mr. Olivier Belle, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Permanent Representative of Belgium to the international organizations in The Hague, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing.
C'est un moment historique. En signant la Convention établissant la Commission internationale des réclamations pour l'Ukraine, nous franchissons ensemble une étape d'une grande portée, sur le plan juridique et moral, tant pour l'Ukraine que pour l'ordre juridique international. La Belgique a toujours clairement indiqué que les violations du droit international ne peuvent rester impunies. Lorsque des civils souffrent, lorsque des infrastructures sont détruites, lorsque l'injustice affecte profondément le quotidien des citoyens, il est de notre devoir, en tant que communauté internationale, de répondre par des actions concrètes. Reflet de cette volonté d'agir avec rigueur, humanité et détermination, la Commission offrira un forum indépendant, transparent et accessible, un lieu où des victimes d'actes illicites pourront déposer leurs réclamations avec l'assurance d'être entendues. Ce faisant, nous contribuons non seulement à la réparation, mais aussi au renforcement de la confiance dans le multilatéralisme. Je tiens à saluer les efforts remarquables de nombreux diplomates, juristes, partenaires internationaux qui ont contribué à l'élaboration de cette convention, en particulier le Conseil de l'Europe et les Pays-Bas. Je souhaite également souligner que cette convention revêt une portée plus large. Elle adresse un message clair au monde. Les violations graves du droit international ne sont pas ignorées. La communauté internationale dispose des instruments nécessaires pour établir les responsabilités et indemniser les dommages, renforçant ainsi notre sécurité collective et nos normes communes. Enfin, au nom de la Belgique, je tiens à réaffirmer notre volonté de soutenir pleinement les travaux de la Commission et de contribuer à son bon fonctionnement. Nous serons un partenaire engagé, convaincu que le respect du droit et la quête de justice sont indispensables pour ouvrir la voie à une paix durable. Je vous remercie.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Permanent Representative of Croatia to the Council of Europe, followed by Cyprus.
Mr. Secretary General, honorable ministers, excellencies, dear colleagues. Croatia is honored to participate in this historic signature of the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine. This convention represents a crucial step towards justice for the victims of aggression and ensuring redress for the immense suffering inflicted upon Ukrainian people. It stands as a clear testimony that the victims will not be forgotten and that those responsible for grave breaches of international law will bear the consequences. Croatia knows firsthand war's devastating impact. Even 30 years after our homeland war,
we are still searching for 1,740 missing persons, and remember the 402 children killed during the aggression against our country. This painful legacy drives our unwavering solidarity with Ukraine and makes it unbreakable. There can be no just peace without accountability and no lasting reconciliation without recognition of the harm inflicted. This convention sets a vital precedent and reaffirms our collective commitment to a rules-based international order. Croatia proudly supports this initiative and calls on others to join us in this essential endeavor. It is my honor to sign this convention on behalf of the Republic of Croatia. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Cyprus to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Denmark.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the adoption of the Convention establishing the International Claims Commission for Ukraine reaffirms a simple yet powerful principle. Violations of international law must not go unpunished, and victims are entitled to a credible, independent, and effective path to justice. This Convention, alongside the resolution and the final act, marks a significant step forward in advancing accountability. We commend and thank the Kingdom of the Netherlands for hosting the Commission, and we welcome the important role of the Council of Europe in the conclusion of the Convention. For Cyprus, a country that to this day suffers from the consequences of aggression and continues to suffer from an illegal military occupation, the principles underpinning this initiative carry particular resonance. Cyprus has long championed the rule of law and mechanisms that safeguard the rights of victims of conflict. While each situation has its own context, the underlying principles are universal. Justice matters, accountability matters, and the international community has a duty to uphold them without exception. Justice and accountability are not abstract concepts. They are responsibilities. They are promises to victims that their suffering will not be ignored, and commitments by states to defend the international legal order and the values upon which our multilateral system is built. Let us continue in this spirit of unity and determination. The International Claims Commission for Ukraine will succeed only if we collectively uphold the principles we affirm today. Thank you for your attention.
I now have the honor to invite Ms. Vibeke Pasternak-Jurgensen, Ambassador, Undersecretary for Legal Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Estonia.
Well, thank you. Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, we are here today to show our strong and steadfast support to Ukraine. We are here because we believe in justice and a rules-based international order. Over the past years, the Ukrainian people have shown remarkable courage and resilience. They now deserve to return to their homes and to rebuild their lives and their country in peace and prosperity. They deserve to have and to see justice. Today, we are taking an important step towards redress with the establishment of the Claims Commission. With that, we are building something new and unique. The Commission will not only be of significance in Ukraine and to Ukrainians, but will also serve as an example of the international community coming together to stand up for international law and accountability. It is with great appreciation that Denmark will sign the Convention and Final Act today. We will work dedicated towards ratifying the Convention in the new year. We also encourage a broad participation and support an ambitious timeline to ensure the entry into force of the Convention and the Commission's important work. Finally, we would like to extend our gratitude to Prime Minister Schoof and the Netherlands for their great leadership and coordination in this endeavor, and for the always impressive work of the Secretariat. And we also would like to extend our unwavering support for Ukraine and to President Zelensky and our Ukrainian friends. Denmark will continue to support Ukraine's fight against Russia's unprovoked war of aggression, both in the immediate and long term. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Jonathan Sevijov, Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Estonia, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Finland.
Mr. Secretary General, Ministers, Excellencies, dear friends and colleagues, today marks an important milestone. The negotiations for the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine have been fruitful, and we are now able to open the Convention for signature. Estonia highly appreciates this achievement and the fact that a significant number of states stand ready to sign the Convention today. It highlights our collective commitment to upholding international law, including the rules according to which Russia must compensate for the damages it has caused with its war of aggression against Ukraine. We extend our sincere gratitude to everyone who has participated in this process. Your dedication and efforts have made this moment possible. And above all, we wish to thank Ukraine and the people of Ukraine for their unwavering persistence, courage, and resilience. We are pleased that the Register of Damage for Ukraine is functioning effectively and recording claims for damage. We now need to ensure that the Claims Commission can swiftly start its work of deciding on the claims. We therefore call upon all states to sign and ratify this convention as soon as possible so that it may enter into force within the year 2026. We must also continue to strive to secure the broadest possible participation in the Commission. Finally, Estonia reiterates that for the compensation mechanism to be complete and capable of delivering on its purpose, we must continue our efforts towards establishing the third element of the mechanism, the compensation fund. It is crucial that we find a viable solution for the financing of the fund so that compensation can be paid to those that have suffered damage as a result of Russia's illegal war of aggression. These three elements, alongside the Special Tribunal for the Crime of Aggression, form the basis of our work for a just peace. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, as we stand for Ukraine's territorial integrity, we defend not only the sanctity of Ukraine's borders, but our own. As we stand for Ukraine's sovereignty, we defend not only Ukraine's freedom, but our own. And as we seek justice for Ukraine, we help ensure justice for all. Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, State Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Finland, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by France.
Excellencies, dear friends, the Ukrainian people have endured almost 4 years of full-scale aggression by Russia. The war, of course, began already in 2014 when Russia occupied and unlawfully annexed Crimea and moved on to destabilize and occupy regions in eastern Ukraine. No one longs for peace more than the people of Ukraine. People who have endured the trauma of invasion, the loss of loved ones, and the destruction of their homes, environment, and objects of cultural heritage. While Ukraine has shown genuine readiness for peace negotiations, Russia continues to choose violence and destruction. We see that every day, and we see that every night. We need a full unconditional ceasefire as a first step for meaningful talks aimed at a just and sustainable peace in line with the UN Charter. In addition, there must be accountability for the wrongs inflicted upon Ukraine and Ukrainians by Russia's unlawful actions. Today, the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine opens for signature. This is a significant milestone towards accountability and justice for the victims of the war. We commend the Council of Europe for its readiness to host not only the Special Tribunal for the Crime of Aggression, but also the Register of Damage and Claims Commission. This is a demonstration of the Council's commitment to defend democracy, human rights, and the rule of law in Europe and beyond. And we also wish to thank the Kingdom of the Netherlands for its willingness to serve as the host country for both mechanisms. Finland is a proud founding member of the Register of Damage and has also from the start supported the establishment of a Claims Commission as the next step. The Convention text provides for a Claims Commission that is efficient, legitimate, and can stand any possible critical scrutiny. Finland will sign the Convention today, and we will do our part to become a state party as soon as possible. And we are also prepared to discuss the possible sources of funding of the future awards of the Commission. So let this day remain in history as the moment when the international community showed its determination to hold the aggressor accountable and to ensure justice for the victims of this historic wrong. Accountability is needed not only for reparations, but also to deter the next aggressor who might otherwise believe they can act with impunity. Finally, by establishing the Claims Commission, we defend a world order based on international law. I thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. François 𝗟𝗏, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Ambassador of France to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Iceland.
Monsieur le secrétaire général du Conseil de l'Europe, Monsieur le Président, Madame la Présidente, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, Monsieur le Président de la Cour européenne des droits de l'homme, Excellences, Mesdames, Messieurs, le 14 novembre 2022, l'Assemblée générale des Nations unies prévoyait l'établissement d'un mécanisme international de réparation des dommages, pertes et préjudices résultant de l'agression commise par la Russie contre l'Ukraine en violation de la Charte des Nations unies. La première pièce de ce mécanisme a été mise en place dès 2023 avec le registre des dommages qui reçoit les demandes d'indemnisation et consigne les preuves. Nous franchissons aujourd'hui l'étape suivante avec la création d'une commission internationale des réclamations pour l'Ukraine qui pourra désormais se prononcer sur le montant des dommages subis. Et nous ne pouvons que nous féliciter collectivement de ce résultat. La France s'est pleinement engagée dans les négociations avec comme objectif la mise en place d'un mécanisme efficace, transparent et impartial. Et la convention que nous signons aujourd'hui a su concilier ces exigences. Ce résultat est à mettre au crédit de l'ensemble des États ayant participé aux négociations, particulièrement aux Pays-Bas et à l'Ukraine, que nous remercions pour l'organisation des sessions de négociation, ainsi qu'au Conseil de l'Europe, qui hébergera la future Commission. Le message que nous envoyons collectivement aujourd'hui est clair. La Russie continue de mener une guerre d'agression illégale qu'elle doit cesser immédiatement et la Russie doit payer pour la reconstruction de l'Ukraine. Mesdames et Messieurs, la France accompagnera la mise en œuvre de la Convention établissant la Commission des réclamations aux côtés de l'Ukraine, comme elle l'a fait pour sa négociation. Depuis le premier jour de l'agression russe, la France a fait un choix clair, celui du soutien sans relâche à l'Ukraine. La signature de ce jour de la Convention par la France s'inscrit dans cet engagement. Ce soutien n'est pas simplement un devoir moral, c'est un engagement profond en faveur de notre sécurité collective, celle de notre continent, celle de tous les Européens et en faveur du droit international. Je vous remercie.
I now have the honor to invite Ms. 𝗟𝗏, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Permanent Representative of Iceland to the Council of Europe, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Ireland.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, today we are demonstrating that we stand united when our core values are violated. A state which is responsible for internationally wrongful acts is obliged to fully compensate for the damage they cause. Accordingly, victims who suffer losses as a result are entitled to compensation. This is a fundamental principle of international law. Thus, the Russian Federation must be held accountable in the unprovoked and unlawful war of aggression against Ukraine. At the summit in Reykjavik in May 2023, Council of Europe heads of states expressed their unwavering commitment towards restoring justice and respect for international law. The foundation for the international compensation mechanism to hold Russia accountable was established. The Register of Damage has been instrumental in creating the foundation of the mechanism, paving the way for its second component, the Claims Commission. I would like to take this opportunity to extend our sincere appreciation to the Register of Damage, as well as to the Dutch government, for all their work that has led us to this day. Allow me also to highlight the importance we attach to countries from outside of Europe taking part, thus reflecting the support for accountability from the wider international community. Finally, as a demonstration of our unwavering support and solidarity with Ukraine, it is essential that the Claims Commission enters into force early next year. Justice must be realized without delay. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Ms. Anne Derwin, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Ireland to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Italy.
Chairperson, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I have the honour today to sign, on behalf of the Government of Ireland, the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine. The opening for signature of this convention represents a crucial step towards ensuring that the Russian Federation is held to account for its unlawful aggression against Ukraine. In November 2022, the United Nations General Assembly recognized the need for the establishment, in cooperation with Ukraine, of an international mechanism for reparation for the damage, loss and injury caused by Russia's internationally wrongful acts. The decisive steps subsequently taken by states to establish the Register of Damage and to elaborate this convention reflect our shared commitment to ensuring that Russia bears the legal consequences for its aggression, as well as any violations of international humanitarian law and international human rights law. I wish to pay tribute to all those who have led the way in establishing the Register of Damage and elaborating this convention. I commend the Government of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and in particular Mr. René Lefebvre, as chair of the negotiations, for their invaluable contribution. I also wish to recognise the role which the Council of Europe continues to play under the leadership of Secretary-General Berset in holding Russia to account for its aggression against Ukraine, underscoring the Council's importance as a beacon for human rights, democracy and the rule of law in Europe. I will conclude by paying tribute to President Zelensky and the people of Ukraine for their resilience, courage and determination. The signature of this convention is an expression of our solidarity with the people of Ukraine, of our recognition of the devastating personal cost of Russia's unlawful acts, and for our commitment to holding Russia to account. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Under-Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Italy, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Latvia.
Italy deplores in the strongest term the aggression of Ukraine by the Russian Federation, which represents a gross violation of international law and the Charter of the United Nations. In particular, we believe that international disputes must be settled by peaceful means, refraining from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. In this context, Italy underscores the importance of maintaining and strengthening international peace founded upon freedom, equality, justice and respect for human rights. At the same time, we express grave concern at the loss of life, civilian displacement, catastrophic destruction of infrastructures and natural resources, loss of public and private property and economic calamity caused by the Russian Federation's aggression against Ukraine. Italy believes that the Russian Federation must be held accountable for its internationally wrongful acts. In this regard, we welcome the establishment of the Register of Damage as documentary form of evidence and record management of claims on damage, loss and injury arising from the invasion of Ukraine. Italy joined the register as a founding participant member during the Council of Europe Reykjavik Summit on May 2023. The Register of Damage constitutes the first of 3 steps towards establishing a comprehensive compensation mechanism for Ukraine. The second step we are accomplishing today is the establishment of a Claims Commission, the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee on the International Instrument for the Establishment of the International Claims Commission for Ukraine met 4 times this year in The Hague, where it decided that such a mechanism shall be established within the institutional framework of the Council of Europe through the adoption of a convention. Italy hopes this instrument could accompany the peace process, bearing in mind we want not a whatever peace, but a just peace, where the pursuit of justice, including accountability for any internationally wrongful act, could go hand by hand with the pursuit of security. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Ms. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Ambassador of Latvia to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Liechtenstein.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Latvia has always strongly stood for the sovereignty and independence and territorial integrity of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders. We once again categorically condemned the Russian Federation's war of aggression against Ukraine, a war that represents a blatant assault of international law and on the very idea of a rules-based order. Latvia strongly supports Ukraine and its people. Also, there are no words that could provide comfort to what Ukrainians have endured since the beginning of Russia's aggression. Let the events of today serve as one step further for ensuring accountability for Ukraine. In this way, accountability is one of the prerequisites to maintain long-lasting and just peace. The crime of aggression is a leadership crime. Thus, in order for accountability to be effective and serve justice, we must hold accountable Russian political and military leadership, including through international mechanisms such as Special Tribunal for the crime of aggression. Accountability shall also include full reparations. Russia must pay for the damage it has caused. Today we are founding the Claims Commission. Nevertheless, our progress must not slow down. The work must continue, and the fund ensuring the full functioning of compensation mechanism is our next task. The establishment of the Claims Commission represents a vital step towards justice, and justice must ultimately reach those who have suffered most. Latvia will continue to support these efforts to ensure that victims receive meaningful compensation and that their suffering does not die in vain. Every claim must be heard, every loss must be acknowledged, and the victims of Russia's aggression must receive justice they deserve. We remain unwavering in our support while Russia continues to blight the Charter, international human rights law, and international humanitarian law. We stand with Ukraine, military, economically, politically, diplomatically. We support a just and lasting peace, one grounded in these principles of the UN Charter, enforced by accountability and protected by credible and durable security guarantees. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Martin Frick, Director of the Office for Foreign Affairs of Liechtenstein, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Luxembourg.
Excellencies, dear friends, expressing our sincere appreciation to the Netherlands and the Council of Europe for convening this important diplomatic conference. The establishment of the International Claims Commission for Ukraine is a significant step towards ensuring accountability for the grave violations committed by the Russian Federation against Ukraine and its people. Liechtenstein has a long-standing tradition of consistently advocating for strengthening international law and ensuring accountability for the most serious international crimes. From the outset, Liechtenstein has actively participated in the negotiations leading to this agreement. Our support for this convention demonstrates our clear and unequivocal commitment to the rule of law and accountability, including the principle of state responsibility and the obligation of the Russian Federation to
wide reparations for the harm caused. By signing the Convention, we are sending a strong and clear message of solidarity with Ukraine and of firm condemnation of the ongoing aggression by the Russian Federation, both to the international community and to the victims of this conflict. The establishment of the Claims Commission is particularly important in our efforts to bring justice to Ukraine and its people. The Commission will serve as a mechanism to collect evidence and assess damages. Thorough and prompt documentation, verification, and attribution are essential for future compensation claims, whether within the framework of this mechanism or in the context of peace negotiations, judicial proceedings, and arbitration. Russia's aggression has shaken the existing security architecture in Europe and beyond. With this convention, we are strengthening international law, reaffirming our support for Ukraine, and contributing to a just and sustainable peace for Ukraine. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Mike Entjes, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Luxembourg to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Monaco.
Excellences, distingués représentants, en signant aujourd'hui la Convention établissant une commission internationale des réclamations pour l'Ukraine, mon pays réaffirme avec solennité son attachement au respect du droit international ainsi que sa solidarité indéfectible avec le peuple ukrainien. La création de cette commission des réclamations constitue une étape majeure dans la mise en place d'un mécanisme d'indemnisation relatif à l'agression menée par la Russie. Elle marque un engagement collectif à documenter avec rigueur les préjudices subis par le peuple ukrainien, à rendre visibles leurs souffrances et à offrir aux personnes affectées une voie vers la réparation. À cet égard, je tiens à réaffirmer l'attachement constant du Luxembourg aux travaux portant sur la redevabilité sur le crime d'agression. La lutte contre l'impunité dans le cadre de la guerre d'agression menée par la Russie contre l'Ukraine demeure essentielle pour l'avenir de l'ordre juridique international et pour la préservation de la sécurité en Europe. Nous saluons les efforts du Conseil de l'Europe et de tous les États et partenaires qui se joignent à cette initiative, et en particulier les Pays-Bas en leur qualité d'État hôte. Leur mobilisation témoigne d'une volonté partagée de défendre un ordre international fondé sur la règle de droit et de soutenir les victimes. Ensemble, nous adressons un message clair. L'ordre international ne peut tolérer l'impunité et les souffrances du peuple ukrainien ne seront ni ignorées ni oubliées. Nous devons poursuivre nos efforts pour aider l'Ukraine à parvenir à une paix juste et durable. Je vous remercie.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Permanent Representative of Monaco to the Council of Europe, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Norway.
Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, Monaco est fier de participer à cette conférence internationale qui marque notre engagement pour la Commission des réclamations pour l'Ukraine, mais rappelle aussi le caractère central du respect du droit international pour nos États. Dans ce cadre, Monaco, déjà membre fondateur du registre des dommages qui constituait la première pierre du mécanisme de réparation des dommages causés aux victimes de la guerre d'agression menée par la Fédération de Russie, se joindra aux signataires de la Convention ouverte, illustrant ainsi le soutien permanent apporté à la reddition de comptes par la Fédération de Russie dans le cadre de la guerre d'agression contre l'Ukraine depuis 2022. Outre le fait qu'aujourd'hui nous rappelons que les règles fondamentales du droit international public ne peuvent être violées impunément, nous saisissons à cette occasion pour réaffirmer notre soutien à l'indépendance, à la souveraineté et à l'intégrité territoriale de l'Ukraine dans ses frontières internationalement reconnues. Je vous remercie.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗏 State Secretary to the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Norway, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Poland.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, justice does not arise of its own accord. It must be fought for and won through struggle. Our support for Ukraine, our commitment to international law, and our solidarity with the victims of Russia's war of aggression have brought us together in this moment. Accountability is essential for forging a credible path towards peace. Aggression must never go unpunished. With the signing of this convention and the establishment of the Claims Commission, another important step towards an architecture of accountability has been finalized. The process of establishing a special tribunal for the crime of aggression in its final stages will be another important element in this regard. Our resolve sends a clear message. Serious violations of international law will be met with accountability, including with mechanisms that hold the aggressor state economically and legally responsible. Norway is committed to a world order grounded in international law, our shared normative vocabulary. We believe in a system where rules prevail and where violations of these rules carry consequences, regardless of the perpetrator. And by signing this convention today, we affirm our solidarity with Ukraine and our commitment to the principles that underpin peace and security. Millions of Ukrainians have had their lives deeply affected by Russia's aggression. For Norway, a neighbor of Russia, this human dimension is fundamental, and it serves as a political and moral imperative to take action. On this essential day, let me underline this. Holding Russia legally and financially accountable must go hand in hand with continued strong military and civilian support for Ukraine, for their fight for freedom, and for our shared security. Let us work together to make this mechanism a strong and credible tool for justice. In closing, let me end by thanking the Council of Europe, let me thank the government of the Netherlands, and let me not least thank the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian people for its resolve and its unwavering commitment to the principle of sovereignty, democracy, and international law. Thank you very much.
I now have the honor to invite Ms. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Undersecretary of State, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Portugal.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, friends of Ukraine. It's an honor to address you today on behalf of the Republic of Poland at this very significant moment, one in which the international community gathers to reaffirm its commitment to justice, accountability, and a lasting peace. Peace without accountability will not be durable. Therefore, I would like to express Poland's sincere gratitude to the Council of Europe, which has once again shown its unique ability to unite nations around principles that transcend politics, human rights, international law, and the pursuit of justice. The negotiation process was really swift. Thank you for your engagement and perseverance. We should also recognize the role of the Register for Damage. This instrument has proven its effectiveness in documenting and verifying crimes, giving victims a reliable way to have their losses acknowledged. It has become a trusted repository of evidence and a symbol of determination to build a comprehensive compensation mechanism. I would also like to share my gratitude to the Kingdom of the Netherlands for your invaluable support throughout the entire process of the negotiations of the Convention. Thank you for hosting also today's conference. Excellencies, for Poland, the establishment of the Claims Commission is not an abstract legal step. Its importance stems from our national memory. We know perhaps more than most how essential it is to address the consequences of war swiftly and decisively. We know how unresolved claims can hinder healing, reconstruction, and a nation's ability to move forward. The international mechanisms that addressed wartime damages in our region were imperfect and often incomplete. It was mentioned by many colleagues, not least the Lithuanian minister today. The international mechanism which is necessary, we believe it must first of all address the question of reparation by Russia, which must be resolved without unnecessary hesitation or procedural paralysis. Poland stands ready to contribute its experience and steadfast support for Ukraine on the path towards recovery and peace. Let today's conference represent more than an administrative milestone. Let it be a symbol of our shared resolve. We must work together to ensure that the Commission becomes a model of effectiveness and integrity. Let us remain steadfast in our support for Ukraine's recovery, sovereignty, and a rightful place in our common European future. Sława Ukrainie. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Antonio Alves Machado, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Permanent Representative of Portugal to the Council of Europe, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Romania.
Excellencies, today is a historical moment. It is a day where we take an important step in our collective response to one of the most serious violations of international law in recent memory. Portugal firmly condemns the unlawful and ongoing full-scale invasion of Ukraine by the Russian Federation. This act of aggression, in clear violation of the UN Charter, has brought immense suffering to the Ukrainian people and devastating destruction to their country. For almost 4 years, Ukraine has endured loss of life, mass displacement, and the deliberate targeting of civilian infrastructure. Entire communities have been shattered. The scale of destruction is staggering. Homes, schools, hospitals, energy networks, transport systems, everything needed for a normal, dignified life. Rebuilding Ukraine will require not only immense resources, but also the full restoration of its independence and its ability to strengthen economic and social development. The International Claims Commission for Ukraine gives institutional effect to the commitments made by the UN General Assembly resolutions which condemned Russia's aggression and affirm that Russian Federation must be held internationally accountable for its wrongful acts and must make full reparation for the damage caused. The Commission will provide an independent, authoritative mechanism to document the harm damages suffered by individuals, businesses and the Ukrainian state, to assess claims and ensure that accountability leads to reparation. This is essential for not only for Ukraine's reconstruction, but also for the return of peace to Europe, because there can be no lasting peace without justice, and no justice without recognition of the damages inflicted and the obligations to repair them. Portugal is proud to join this collective effort. Our support for Ukraine is firm, humanitarian, financial, political and moral. We remain committed to a just and lasting peace, to the end of the war and human suffering, and to Ukraine's full recovery and future prosperity. I wish to take this opportunity to thank the Netherlands for hosting the Commission in The Hague, continuing its strong tradition of supporting international justice. And I also wish to commend the Council of Europe for anchoring this mechanism within its institutional framework, building on the essential work already initiated through the Register of Damage. Today's ceremony sends a clear message. The international community remains united. Aggression will not go unanswered, and we continue with Ukraine not only in its defense, but also in its reconstruction and in its future. Today, we say again to the people of Ukraine, you are not alone, we stand together. Slava Ukraini, thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Ms. 𝗟𝗶 Volunteeru, Secretary of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Romania, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by San Marino.
Your Excellencies, on behalf of Romania, first of all, I would like to express my sincere and deep gratitude to the Council of Europe for convening this diplomatic conference, for the adoption of the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine, and to the Kingdom of Netherlands for hosting us today in Hague and for hosting all the preliminary meetings and negotiations that have brought us to this outcome, which I think we can all be proud of in record time. With the crucial role and efforts of the Council of Europe and the signatory states, we are now able to adopt just and correct decisions within the purview of international law. We are able to advance a clear and concrete accountability mechanism, and hopefully more to come. And we can confidently uphold the legitimacy of these engagements and further the implementation of the claims for reparation for Ukraine. Ukraine is standing tall amongst nation states as it has continued a brave fight for freedom and sovereignty since the beginning of the war of aggression at great cost and sacrifice. This diplomatic conference carries a particular symbolism for the international legal order and solidarity for Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. After yesterday's Berlin talks, it is fitting and encouraging to find ourselves here today, adopting a convention establishing an international claims commission for Ukraine, which provides a concrete path of action for the future of Ukraine in rebuilding and reconstructing its territories and the lives of its people. Recognizing the damages suffered by Ukraine as a consequence of this war is both a moral and a material issue. The bloodshed and tears can never be truly repaid. The damage can never be undone. But we can and should provide Ukraine with reparations and the material tools to provide a future that will honor the many sacrifices that were made. Romania is proud to count itself as a trusted ally to Ukraine. We acknowledge that a secure Ukraine is a key part of the security architecture of the Black Sea region and the eastern flank, protecting all of our citizens in Romania, in Moldova, and the wider Europe. Our priorities in Romania are clear, our determination is strong, and our commitment unwavering. We will continue to stand by the Ukrainian people in their fight for a just and lasting peace and in their pursuit of a normal life that protects human dignity.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of San Marino to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Spain.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as a founding state of the Register of Damage, San Marino could not fail to be among the founding countries and signatories of the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine. This decision is consistent with my country's constant and resolute positioning in defense of international law. This is all the more true and necessary in a particularly delicate, volatile and dangerous moment in history and global geopolitical context, especially for small-sized states, which, for their defense and survival, cannot resort to the force of weapons and armies, but can only rely on and hope for the maintenance and strengthening of a rule-based international order. International law is either respected or violated. The alternative to the rule-based international order is the law of the strongest, the rule of the lawlessness, arbitrariness and impunity, and the systematic violation of fundamental human rights, freedoms and democracy. Those who reject the centrality of law and the authority of the institutions protecting it place themselves outside the international legal order and at the head of a hierarchical international order where the might is right principle prevails. San Marino strongly believes in and intends to continue to stand on the side of international law and not on the side of those who reject any authority above the state, act unilaterally and refuse to comply with those international rules that their predecessors in the aftermath of the Second World War laid down as the foundation of the international order to save future generations from the scourge of war. Today, ongoing wars worldwide risk obliterating jus in bello and becoming, with the spread of digital technology on the battlefield, bellum internecinum. International law must apply to everyone, and it is the law that must exercise control over political power. If the opposite were true, it would be the end of democracy, rule of law, and multilateralism. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Carlos Moreno Blanco, Secretary General for the European Union of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Spain, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Switzerland.
Excelentísimo Secretario General del Consejo de Europa, autoridades, señoras y señores. Casi 4 años después, desde el inicio de la guerra en Ucrania, la posibilidad de una paz sigue siendo lejana. No obstante, desde el primer día, España ha mantenido una postura clara. Estaremos al lado de Ucrania el tiempo que sea necesario. Así lo hemos demostrado estos 4 años y recientemente durante la visita del presidente Zelensky a Madrid el pasado 18 de noviembre, con la aprobación de un importante paquete de ayuda. Reclamamos una paz justa y duradera, que no recompense al agresor ni congele la situación actual como un hecho consumado. En este contexto, la rendición de cuentas no es un concepto abstracto ni secundario. Es un pilar esencial para la justicia y la base de cualquier paz futura creíble. Es por ello que España ha estado al lado de Ucrania exigiendo que se lleve a cabo una adecuada rendición de cuentas por los crímenes cometidos por Rusia. La creación del registro de daños para Ucrania y la puesta en marcha de un mecanismo internacional de compensación, del que este convenio es una pieza clave, son pasos coherentes con la posición que nuestro país ha mantenido desde el inicio de la agresión rusa en defensa de la soberanía, la independencia y la integridad territorial de Ucrania, y con los esfuerzos de la comunidad internacional para atribuir responsabilidades y reparar los daños ocasionados por el conflicto. La firma hoy de este convenio, por el que se establece una Comisión Internacional de Reclamaciones para Ucrania, es la respuesta legal a ese compromiso, situando al Consejo de Europa, recordemos, el único contexto en el que hasta el momento se ha puesto al agresor frente a las consecuencias de sus actos, y a los Estados firmantes a la vanguardia de aquellos que impulsan mecanismos de justicia internacional eficaces. Nos dotamos así de un instrumento de reparación jurídicamente sólido y alineado con el derecho internacional, un elemento esencial para preservar los derechos de las víctimas y prevenir futuras violaciones. Muchas gracias.
I now have the honor to invite Ms. Corinne Ciceron-Bühler, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Switzerland to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Albania.
Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, Excellences, je tiens tout d'abord à remercier les Pays-Bas et le Conseil de l'Europe pour leur invitation et l'organisation de cette conférence diplomatique. Elle intervient à un moment clé, un moment où l'ombre de la guerre nous rappelle l'urgence de défendre les valeurs qui nous unissent. La solidarité envers le peuple ukrainien doit être reflétée dans des mécanismes concrets de justice et de réparation. La Suisse se mobilise résolument en faveur d'une paix juste et durable pour l'Ukraine. Ces prises de position s'inscrivent dans la ligne d'une politique étrangère basée sur le droit international et engagée en faveur du respect de celui-ci. Le droit international ne laisse aucun doute. Celui qui l'enfreint est tenu de réparer les dommages causés. Cela vaut d'autant plus face à des violations aussi graves et à large échelle que celles commises par la Fédération de Russie en Ukraine. Ainsi, nous saluons la création d'une commission internationale des réclamations pour l'Ukraine. Ce mécanisme n'est pas seulement une structure administrative supplémentaire, il est un signal puissant adressé au monde entier. Il affirme que la justice n'est pas accessoire, qu'elle n'est pas un luxe à réserver au temps de calme, mais qu'elle constitue un fondement essentiel pour l'ordre international. Cette commission place les victimes de l'agression au centre de nos efforts et permet de reconnaître leurs souffrances. Elle permettra également d'établir de manière objective, impartiale et indépendante les dommages, pertes et préjudices subis en Ukraine. La reconstruction de l'Ukraine est également une tâche à laquelle nous devons contribuer, un engagement moral à partager entre États attachés à la paix, à la stabilité et un avenir juste. La commission que nous nous apprêtons à instituer est un signal clair de cet effort commun. Dès le début de ce processus, la Suisse s'est pleinement engagée afin de parvenir à un résultat qui bénéficierait d'une large légitimité et crédibilité au niveau international. Nous sommes convaincus que cette étape y contribue grandement. Le destin de l'Ukraine est lié à celui de toute l'Europe. Ce qu'il adviendra en Ukraine influencera de manière déterminante l'Europe. Il en va de notre responsabilité collective. Soyons à la hauteur de l'avenir du continent, soyons à la hauteur de l'histoire. Je vous remercie.
We will now proceed with signing the final act by members and observers in the English alphabetical order and hear their respective statements if they wish to make such statements. I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Albania to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Australia.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine constitutes a manifested violation of all international law, including the UN Charter. Albania reaffirms the unwavering support for Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders and its inherent right of self-defense against the Russian aggression. Ukraine is fighting for all of us. We consider the war of resistance from Ukraine as a war for democracy, for European values, European security, and for maintaining an international order based on rules, and we stand ready to continue supporting Ukraine with everything we can, with political, diplomatic, and economic means, as well as the willingness to join efforts to rebuild Ukraine as soon as possible in cooperation with other nations. Today, we are marking another important step towards justice for Ukraine. Russia will be held accountable for its war of aggression and all the destruction and loss of life it causes. We stand with Ukraine. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Greg French, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Australia to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Bulgaria.
Excellencies, representatives, our shared quest for peace, justice and accountability for Ukraine is deeply felt by Australians, and particularly now, after Sunday's devastating attack at Bondi Beach, Sydney, a targeted assault on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, where people from all over the world were congregating in peace. We Australians are grieving as we extend our deepest condolences to everyone who lost someone they love. And we thank the many around the world who have provided messages of condolence and solidarity. An attack on Jewish Australians was an attack on every Australian. There's no place in the world for this vile anti-Semitism. Australia will not be divided by hate or violence. This was exemplified by Australian Ahmed Al-Ahmed, who bravely ran towards danger, saving countless lives. We remain firmly committed to working with our international partners to eradicate anti-Semitism and all forms of racism, hatred, intolerance and aggression, and to promote peace, justice and accountability for Ukraine and around the world. In this spirit, Australia thanks the Council of Europe and the Netherlands for convening this conference. We thank also the Register of Damage and all who worked towards this milestone convention, which we have supported from the outset. We recognise the immense courage of the Ukrainian people who have suffered unimaginable loss at the hands of Russia in its brutal war of aggression. Australia therefore gladly joined consensus to adopt this convention. Russia must be held accountable for its cruel violations of international law in and against Ukraine. This Claims Commission is a critical step in this quest. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Chargé d'Affaires ad interim of the Embassy of Bulgaria in the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Canada.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Secretary General of the Council of Europe and to the Kingdom of the Netherlands for hosting the current diplomatic conference. The Russian Federation's full-scale war of aggression against Ukraine has profoundly altered Europe's security environment. From the first day of the invasion, the Republic of Bulgaria has stood with Ukraine, providing consistent political support, humanitarian relief, and vital military and material assistance. By signing the final act of the diplomatic conference, the Republic of Bulgaria reaffirms its commitment to ensuring that victims of the Russian Federation's crimes against Ukraine receive timely and just compensation. The creation of an International Claims Commission for Ukraine constitutes a historic and decisive step towards justice and accountability. Today's diplomatic conference represents a significant moment not only for the Council of Europe member states, but also for the international community. The message conveyed is clear and resolute. The international community stands ready to respond to aggression and unlawful acts through legitimate means grounded in the international law. The Convention serves not only the pressing need to restore justice for Ukraine, but also reinforces the norm that global stability is intrinsically dependent on the timely accountability for violations of the international law. It is through our collective efforts to restore justice that we are able to reinforce our shared values and strengthen the foundations of democratic security. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Ms. Rebecca Netley, Legal Advisor and Director General, International Law Bureau, Global Affairs, Canada, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Costa Rica.
Excellences, distingués délégués, chers collègues et amis, le Canada est honoré de participer à cette conférence diplomatique historique. Nous exprimons notre sincère gratitude au Conseil de l'Europe et au Royaume des Pays-Bas pour l'organisation de cette importante rencontre. C'est un privilège de se tenir aux côtés de partenaires unis par un engagement commun en faveur de la justice et de la paix. We are deeply humbled by the presence of President Zelensky, whose courage and leadership continue to inspire the global community. Today marks a significant milestone in our collective efforts to uphold international law and pursue accountability in the face of Russia's aggression against Ukraine. Canada remains steadfast in our support for Ukraine. In 2022, we were proud to co-facilitate the UN General Assembly resolution on remedy and reparation for aggression against Ukraine, and to join in 2023 the Register of Damage as an associate member. Canada played an active role as a member of the negotiating committee for the present convention, an institution that is a beacon of accountability. The signing of the final act today represents the beginning of a new chapter in Ukraine's pursuit of justice. The establishment of an independent and impartial International Claims Commission reflects our shared determination to uphold the rule of law and protect sovereignty. Canada's commitment is clear. We will continue to stand with Ukraine and with all partners committed to a just and lasting peace, one that guarantees Ukraine's territorial integrity and security against future aggression. We reaffirm our ambition to collaborate with key partners to advance peace negotiations, and together our resolve to ensure accountability and strengthen the foundations of peace for generations to come. Je vous remercie.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Arnoldo Brenes Castro, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Costa Rica to the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Czechia.
Excelencias, señoras y señores, permítame citar al poeta costarricense Jorge de Bravo. Creo en la libertad a pesar de los cepos, a pesar de los campos alambrados. Creo en la paz amada a pesar de las bombas y a pesar de los cascos. Con estas palabras, el poeta proclamó su confianza en la libertad y en la paz, a pesar de las adversidades y las tragedias. Y para que la paz sea una realidad, mi país entiende que la justicia es uno de sus componentes esenciales. Es por eso que por décadas Costa Rica, una democracia desarmada, se ha comprometido firmemente con los mecanismos del derecho internacional para resguardar la paz y la seguridad internacional. El proceso que ha llevado a esta histórica conferencia diplomática involucra a toda la comunidad internacional. A través de la Comisión de Reclamaciones para Ucrania, no solo se materializará un mecanismo efectivo para hacer justicia a Ucrania y a su pueblo, sino que se fortalecerá el sistema de la justicia internacional en su conjunto. Esperamos asimismo que esta iniciativa ayude a evitar la repetición futura de actos en contra de la paz. Costa Rica, convencida de que las iniciativas relacionadas con la paz y la seguridad deben ser lo más diversas y geográficamente inclusivas posible, se enorgullece de haber formado parte, en calidad de observador, de las etapas de negociación de este convenio y de haber apoyado la preparación en lengua española de los diferentes instrumentos frutos de este proceso. Bajo esta misma premisa, mi país también se complace en haber participado en otras iniciativas relacionadas con la justicia para Ucrania, como el establecimiento del Tribunal Especial para el Crimen de Agresión. Hoy, Costa Rica suscribe la declaración final de esta conferencia y espero unirse en el futuro en calidad de observador a la Comisión Internacional de Reclamaciones, como una muestra de apoyo a los esfuerzos por lograr una efectiva justicia internacional y un gesto de solidaridad con el valiente pueblo ucraniano. Porque como el poeta, creeremos siempre en la paz, a pesar de las bombas, a pesar de los cascos, teniendo la justicia como nuestro horizonte. Muchas gracias.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Director General for Legal and Consular Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Czechia, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by Ecuador.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the Czech Republic welcomes the adoption of the Convention establishing the International Claims Commission for Ukraine. This is another key step towards ensuring accountability and justice for the victims of Russia's aggression against Ukraine and its people. The Czech Republic emphasizes that justice mustn't remain an abstract principle. It must lead to tangible solutions for those who have suffered. The International Claims Commission will ensure that victims of Russia's aggression can exercise their right to compensation. In this regard, the Register of Damage for Ukraine has proven its effectiveness, providing a robust basis upon which the future Claims Commission can build and deliver meaningful results. We also wish to express our profound appreciation to the Council of Europe for its unwavering leadership in advancing accountability efforts for Ukraine. By offering its institutional framework, political support, and legal expertise, the Council of Europe has demonstrated its readiness to respond to international challenges, solidarity, and an enduring commitment to the rule of law. The Czech Republic reaffirms that Russia's aggression cannot go unanswered and that the Russian Federation must be held fully accountable under international law. We stand ready to contribute to this common endeavor. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Ecuador to the Netherlands, to sign the final act. I now have the honor to invite Ms. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Ambassador of Greece to the Netherlands, to sign the final act.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Greece aligns itself with the principles that bring us together today: respect for international law, accountability and justice. The establishment of International Claims Commission for Ukraine is a concrete and necessary step toward addressing the immense harm caused by violations of international law and restoring the rights of victims. Greece stands in solidarity with the people of Ukraine and supports all efforts aimed at justice, reconstruction and reconciliation. We are ready to contribute to the implementation of this convention and to broader international effort to uphold the international legal order. Thank you.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Daisuke Nagano, Minister, Embassy of Japan in the Netherlands, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, and followed by the Slovak Republic.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, almost 4 years have passed since Russia launched its unprovoked war against the sovereign state of Ukraine. Countless innocent civilians of Ukraine have lost their lives, and many more have been injured as a result of Russia's indiscriminate attacks, including on critical infrastructure such as hospitals, schools, power plants, and homes. Russia's aggression against Ukraine constitutes a clear and blatant violation of international law, including the UN Charter. Japan strongly demands that Russia stops its aggression and swiftly moves towards the realization of a just and lasting peace. As an associate member of the Register of Damage for Ukraine, Japan has remained engaged for the setup of the accountability mechanism for Ukraine. Dear colleagues, today, Japan will sign the final act, and in doing so, we wished to express our commitment to working in pursuit of a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. Japan's position remains unwavering. Together with our allies, we will continue to stand with Ukraine. I thank you very much.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Slovak Republic, Ambassador to the Netherlands of the Slovak Republic, to deliver a statement and to proceed to the signing, followed by nobody.
Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are part of a truly historic moment today. When the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution titled Furtherance of Remedy and Reparation for Aggression against Ukraine on 14th of November 2022, some provisions may have seemed like a rather distant, idealistic aspiration. Yet, we stand here some 3 years later, demonstrating our commitment to upholding international law by creating already the second crucial element of an international mechanism for reparation for damage, loss, or injury and arising from the internationally wrongful acts of the Russian Federation in or against Ukraine. Slovakia welcomes the adoption of the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine. We are confident that the Commission will ensure accountability for the perpetrators and justice for the victims of illegal acts. At the same time, it should provide a tangible contribution to achieving a lasting and sustainable peace in Ukraine. I thank you.
We will now hear statements from the other Council of Europe bodies. I have the honor first to invite the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲, Member of the Parliamentary Assembly, the floor is yours, followed by the President of the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities.
Secretary General, Ministers, distinguished participants. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe has played a key role in the Council of Europe's legal and political response to hold the Russian Federation accountable for its aggression against Ukraine. Following its recommendation to expel Russia, the Assembly called for a comprehensive accountability system, including an international compensation mechanism with a register of damage and a claims commission at a later stage. The second of these steps is now becoming a reality with the new convention, which was warmly welcomed by the Assembly in its opinion 308 from this year. The Claims Commission will ensure accountability and redress for Ukraine, upholding the principles of state responsibility and the international legal order. Any future peace settlement must include reparations for the victims of the aggression. The Assembly will do everything in its power to support the swift ratification of the Convention and the rapid establishment of the Claims Commission, as well taking further steps toward the third component of the compensation mechanism, a compensation fund. I thank you very much.
Thank you for your statement. I now invite Mr. Mark Coles, President of the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe, to take the floor, followed by the President of the European Court of Human Rights.
Monsieur le Secrétaire Général, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, la Commission internationale des réclamations pour l'Ukraine établie aujourd'hui est une réalisation très concrète des engagements pris au sommet de Reykjavik. C'est l'affirmation que la Fédération de Russie devra faire face aux conséquences de sa guerre d'agression contre l'Ukraine et devra intervenir dans le financement de la réparation des dommages qu'elle a commis. Il est donc important d'enregistrer tous les dommages. Au niveau du Congrès, nous travaillons avec l'ensemble des collectivités territoriales ukrainiennes et leurs associations représentatives. Elles constituent un maillage crucial pour aider à la dissémination de l'information sur le registre des dommages, le faire connaître et sensibiliser la population ukrainienne à son importance pour que la commission de réclamation puisse statuer et que le lien avec les violations du droit international par la Russie soit établi. Et je voudrais terminer en rappelant les paroles que la présidente moldave a dites ce matin. Il faut apporter un soutien suffisant à l'Ukraine pour que la Russie ne poursuive pas sa guerre, eh bien, il nous appartient à tous. Il nous appartient au niveau local, au niveau national, au niveau européen et international à apporter ce soutien à l'Ukraine. Je vous remercie. Slavia Ukraini.
Thank you for your statement. I now invite Mr. Matthias Riomar, President of the European Court of Human Rights, to take the floor.
Dear Secretary General, Excellencies, in my capacity as President of the European Court of Human Rights, I'll welcome the adoption today of a convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine. Accountability for violations of human rights and reparation for the victims are two equally important sides of the same coin. The Court is the judicial body of the Council of Europe. The future Commission will also operate under the Council of Europe umbrella. Their roles are complementary. As part of its adjudication of thousands of cases lodged with it each year, the Court continues its mission of holding Russia accountable for human rights violations, even after the country's expulsion from the Council of Europe. Of the 16,000 pending cases before the Court in September 2022, when Russia ceased to be a party to the European Court, half have already been decided. And the most emblematic example of the Court's judicial role in that regard is its recent historic ruling in Ukraine and Netherlands versus Russia, delivered last July. The Court's Grand Chamber unanimously held Russia responsible for gross and widespread human rights violations committed in the context of the conflict in Ukraine since 2014 and even February 2022. It also held Russia accountable for the dunning of flight MH17. The Court is currently the only international judicial body to hold Russia accountable for violations of human rights protected by the Convention. Through its findings of violations of individual rights, the Court supports the sovereignty of Ukraine, and for its part, the Commission will do the same. The Court's judgments are a historical record, a bill of accountability, and a message to future generations. Human dignity cannot be erased. Truth cannot be silenced. Thank you.
And thank you for your statement. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, as we conclude this historic diplomatic conference, I wish to thank all participants for their engagement and commitment. The adoption of the Convention represents a milestone in our collective pursuit of justice and accountability. I now declare the conference closed and invite all heads of delegation to proceed to the family photo in the Mississippi room before joining the lunch hosted by the Secretary General of the Council of Europe in the 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲 room. Thank you. Delegates, distinguished delegates, now you have taken your seats. We resume the diplomatic conference for the adoption of the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine. Mr. Secretary General of the Council of Europe, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to chair this diplomatic conference for the adoption of the Convention establishing an International Claims Commission for Ukraine, hosted by the Council of Europe and the Government of the Netherlands. The Convention represents the culmination of determined multilateral effort, extensive legal work, and the unwavering commitment of the international community to uphold the principles of international law. I wish to commend the Council of Europe for its pioneering work to ensure accountability for Ukraine and its people. We have a full program today. I would therefore kindly request that all speakers adhere strictly to their allotted speaking time and maintain a measured pace to ensure accurate interpretation. To open our high-level segment, I have the great pleasure of giving the floor to the Secretary General of the Council of Europe, Mr. 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲.
President Zelensky, Prime Minister Zoff, President Sandu, ministers, delegates, it's for me a great pleasure and a great honor to open this conference with you this morning. And it is a great pleasure also to do this and great honor to do this with the Netherlands. And thank you very much for the strong support. On a February morning, almost 4 years ago, Russia chose war, a war of aggression. Ukraine did not choose this war, but every day since, Ukraine chooses to defend itself and its rights to a European future. And our responsibility is to defend that right with weapons where needed, with justice and values where it counts. The Council of Europe Convention that opens for signature today is justice. It is justice for the children taken and deported, for lives marked by injury and trauma, and for those who will never return. Mr. President, in Strasbourg, at the headquarters of the Council of Europe last June, you said, "Justice takes time, but it must happen." The Council of Europe wasted no time. We created the Register of Damage for Ukraine in 2023. 44 states and the European Union have joined. Over 85,000 claims have been submitted and counting. From recording losses to deciding claims, we have chosen the fastest and the most realistic path, a path leading to a claims commission developed within the Council of Europe framework. And this is a unique international independent tool which should be central when addressing the issue of reparations during peace talks. Today here in The Hague, 35 countries will sign the convention establishing the Claims Commission. This is unprecedented for a convention on its first day. And I hope that others will follow. This convention is open to every state, all around the world, all on equal footing. And together they all send a clear message. Every loss must be recorded, every loss repaired. Accountability is the work, as we know, of the European Court of Human Rights, an institution of the Council of Europe. In July, last July, the court held Russia accountable for widespread abuses in Ukraine since 2014, a judgment that will shape international justice for years to come. We also see accountability in the ongoing work to establish the special tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine. Accountability cannot be a footnote to peace talks. Accountability is a central aspect of any peace plan, but not the only one. Elections, children, minority languages, a functional post-war judicial system, a robust anti-corruption framework in support of investment and reconstruction. These are all areas covered by the Council of Europe's Action Plan for Ukraine. These are areas where Ukraine can give solid guarantees to its partners, including on its path to EU accession. The Council of Europe has no drones, no missiles, but it has the force of the law, international law that applies to all. No exceptions, no double standards. And our task is clear: to record the truth, to provide redress, and to hold those responsible to account. Justice takes time, but it must happen, and the International Claims Commission for Ukraine leads the way. On behalf of the Council of Europe, and in the name of all the people working on this convention, I thank you all for the strong presence today, underlining the very importance of this moment. Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. Secretary General. It is now my honor to invite the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, His Excellency Mr. Dick Schoof, to take the floor.
President Zelensky, Volodymyr, Secretary General Burset, President Sandu, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Netherlands, welcome to The Hague. Over the past few days, Ukraine has been at the center of international talks. Yesterday, we had a constructive meeting in Berlin. There, with Europe and the US working in partnership, important steps were taken on the road to a lasting peace. We discussed a range of issues, including security guarantees. Everyone feels the urgency, and a ceasefire now finally seems like a realistic possibility. That's good news, because the people of Ukraine continue fighting day and night for their independence after almost 4 years of war. A just and lasting peace requires that Russia compensates Ukraine for the damage it has inflicted. And so, today we are here to talk about reparations. Your attendance, Volodymyr, underscores the great importance of this moment and of this conference. We are honored that you're here with us today. Today is all about justice, because without it, there can be no just and lasting peace. But justice doesn't just follow automatically. We need to lay the groundwork and prepare as carefully as possible. Today, we are taking the next step. We have launched the International Claims Commission for Ukraine, which will deal with compensation for damage inflicted during the war. Every day in Ukraine, Russia is deliberately bombarding homes, destroying businesses, and damaging infrastructure. And there must be no impunity. Volodymyr, at an earlier stage, you invited the Netherlands to take the lead on restoring justice. We accepted that invitation enthusiastically, as you might expect from a country where promoting the international legal order is enshrined in the Constitution.